Let's get to my profile so that way I can see the chat. Cool. Looks like I'm in, and we should be good to go. I think I was over here last time. Yeah, because my computer needs a place to sit so I can talk. All right. Cool. Well, hello there, everyone, and anyone that decides to show up to this. If you don't know who I am, my name is Brody Taylor. I've worked in a tennis retail store for the past 8+ years, and am also a certified master racket technician here in the U.S., which is essentially a fancy way of saying I took a test and going over racket technology, string technology, and how those work together, and how that's going to affect your game, how that's going to affect your game. So I figured I might as well jump on here, go live for however long, and if you have any tennis gear related questions, please drop them in the chat so that way I can see them, I can answer them, and hopefully I can help you out. And that is pretty much the entire thing we're going to be doing all of tonight. And forgive me if I play with my hair, because I'm trying to figure this out. I just got out of the shower, but we'll make it work however it happens. But yeah. So if you have any tennis questions, tennis gear related questions, please ask away. I am ready to help if I can. Cool. I got me here. That's always fun. Well, I don't know who that is. Hunter, hello. Hold on. Am I just getting spammed with highs? I'm so confused what's happening right now. Hunter, this stream is for me. If you have a tennis gear related question, I am here to just help out with that. If you have any questions, is that if you need help with your racket, your strings, your tennis shoes, then I'm here to help out as much as I can. Braxton Hunter is someone that was in the chat. He asked a question, and yeah, that's who I was talking to. Let's see. Sky plays. I kind of look like John Stamos, and you're here for it. Hey, I mean, if I can get John Stamos, that's pretty cool. Like, I enjoyed Full House. Let's see. Leah, hello. I think it's Arnell. Eric never had blue cheese or ranch, so I don't really have an opinion on him. But hold on. Arnell, how long have I been helping with tennis stuff? I've been helping with tennis stuff for about 8+ years. That's about right around the time that I have worked at the tennis retail store that I have. So that's why over the many years, I have felt that I am good enough to talk about some of this stuff online and help out if I can. Just over many years of recommending tennis strings, tennis rackets, tennis shoes, and everything to fit every which way and style of player. So if you have any questions, please drop them below. I'll try and pick them out as they come through, because it looks like a lot of people are saying hello. So yeah, ask away. Courtney, hello. Thanks for being here. Let's see. Braxton, it's crazy talking to a YouTuber. Well, hey man, I'm human too. If you have a question, please ask. I'm happy to help, and of course, thank you for being here. Kaylee, I have no idea what you're talking about. I cannot see anything. Let's see. Basketball. I've played basketball. I used to play basketball when I was younger, but I'm not. I am not tall enough to warrant playing much. I enjoy playing basketball, but it's not the main sport that I'll play. Let's I will not be joining any corps. I at one time thought about joining the Marine Corps, and then I was like, no, this is not for me. I almost I almost went into the Navy at one point, but then I was like, I told the recruiter it's not for me. Let's see. What's with the posture? What? How else am I gonna sit? Am I gonna? Do you want me to sit like this the whole time? Now, granted, I have sat like this before, and I probably will later on, but for right now, I'm gonna lean back. Let's see. Favorite dinosaur? Uh, what would my favorite dinosaur be? Oh no, oh no, I would say I was probably always a fan of like a Triceratops or a Stegosaurus. Those were always pretty cool. I was, especially when I was younger, I played what was the video game? I played Fossil Fighters on the DS and I absolutely loved it. So Fossil Fighters was always a really big game for me. So just seeing all those dinosaurs, well, all those dinosaurs based off of real dinosaurs, that was really cool. Uh, Kaylee, do I play Minecraft? I have before, but I do not really play Minecraft now. I didn't even get to see the Minecraft movie though. I did not get to see the Minecraft movie, so I don't know if you could call me a true fan, but I have played it before. Did I also don't remember if I ever beat the Ender Dragon. I don't remember though. All right. These questions are all great. However, they're not tennis related. So, if you do have a tennis question, that is kind of the main point of this. I'll still answer some of the other ones, but tennis is the big thing, and we'll see. uh Roblox, hello. Uh I have no idea to pronounce your name. I don't I do not understand what your question is. Uh Mod, I look like the deflated guy from anti-weed commercials. I don't know what that means, and I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm going to hope that's a compliment. Kaylee, you beat it 3 times. Nice. Mo Pork, no, I can't. It's kind of my channel. If you would like to hear me stop, you can leave, Mo Pork. Uh, Greg's pizza or pasta? I'm not really a big fan of either. Uh, that one, I don't play tennis, but how are you supposed to play? Typically you're supposed to play with one other person, and you both have tennis rackets that have strings in them, and you go on you go to the tennis court. You both have your rackets. You have a tennis ball with you, and then you just hit it back and forth, and then you can play an actual game or an actual match if you want. If not, it's just fun to hit around, or if you can find a wall, just because sometimes your friends just can't make it. Sometimes there's been times where I just don't have friends to go out and play with. So you can just make it as your own. Let's see. Joseph, have I heard anything about the 2026 V Core line specs, etc.? Spec wise, I haven't really heard too much about it. I would assume it's probably going to be very, very similar in terms of the current V Core line. Now, granted, they probably have a few. They probably have a little bit of different dampening technology. My guess would be that they implemented the middle end technology like they did into the new E zones this year. That would be my guess, but we would just have to see what Yonex actually ends up doing. All I can say is that I have seen the colors. I've seen the color of it, and usually, like, I'm not a big guy. I'm not a big fan of the color red in terms of like stuff, clothes I want to wear, like rackets. So like the V Core that's out right now, not the red and blue one. I think that's cool just because there's a lot of blue in there too, and it kind of balances it. But these things are really red, and I originally thought I was gonna hate it, but seeing it in person, I was like, yeah, these look sick, especially since they just look really, really nice compared to the old ones. It kind of gives off it's kind of almost like a callback to some of the older V cores, I would think, just from the pictures and the things I've seen. But they look really good. I will say that. Let's see. How do you riz up girls in the tennis court? No clue. When you find out that answer, let me know. Alec, the analyzing tennis gear performance and human precision, ready to collect data. Maybe a few pro tips. Interesting. Let's see. Aero 98 or T-Fight 305S and why? Okay. Mr. Alvin, I'm going to assume. I'm going to assume. I don't know. All right. Toasty, that's enough. That's enough. All right. Let's see. Where was it? Okay. Aero 98 or T-Fight 305S. So Aero 98 versus T-Fight 305S. That just depends on what you're trying to solve for and what you want the racket to help you with. I personally think that a lot of people are preferring the Pure Aero 98 just because it is the easier racket to use compared to the two. Just because it is a Babolat racket, so it is a little bit more powerful. It's going to help give you a little bit more power, and being the spin frame from Babolat, it is going to be more spin friendly. So that's where the Pure Aero 98 is able to just be a much easier and a much easier racket to use compared to the T-Fight 305S. The 305S being the 18 by 19 string pattern, that is going to be a much more control oriented racket. So if you want the racket to help you place the ball a little bit more, then that's where I would lean towards the 305S, as well as it's going to be a little bit easier on your arm because of the foam that's inside the T fights. The Babolat Pure Aero 98, it does tend to be a little bit hollow, so it is a little bit harder on the arm just because it is also Babolat as well. They usually do tend to be stiffer rackets. So if you want a racket that's going to be a little bit more powerful and give you a little bit more spin, I go Pure Aero 98. If you're wanting a racket that's going to be a little bit more control oriented and be a little bit easier on your arm, then I would go Technofiber T-Fight 305S. Hope that helps. Tiago, hello. Re all right, Shy. Thank you for the compliment about the glasses. Let's see. What are my thoughts on the ProStaff V1497? Switched to it from the Pure Aero 3 months ago, and I'm shocked how much I like it. Power and spin are easy because of the mass and headlight balance. So with that, the ProStaff V14, especially the 97, With that headlight balance, you are able to generate a lot of racket head speed, and especially coming from the pure arrow, where you typically do have more of the racket doing a lot more of the work for you. That's an interesting thing that you felt switching to that racket. Most people, I would say, probably feel the opposite if they go from pro staff to pure arrow or pure arrow to pro staff. They usually feel that the pro staff, it kind of like reduces some of the power and spin they have, just because it's a little bit more of a dense string pattern and it's a little bit more control oriented, since it's a smaller head size. But if you're able to generate a lot more racket head speed with the pro staff because of the headlight balance, then it makes a little bit more sense. I don't think the pro staffs have ever been a bad racket line. I think the color of version 14, that brown, is absolutely terrible. That's my opinion only. I think it's bad. But the racket itself still plays fine, still plays just like many of the pro staffs before, and it just does everything that a pro staff normally would need to. Let's see. What are my thoughts on tigers? They're animals. They're chill. I don't want to be chased by one. That would kind of suck. I hope I don't make one mad. Shay, Shay, I think. Hello, nice to meet you. Uh, cool. I look like a Dutch finance guy. What is it? The hair? I think the hair is giving finance. I could see that. Let's see. Shay, hello. Thank you for being here. Uh, Fatih is my guess. What do I do for a living? I live for. I work at a tennis store. Oh, I Wilbur. I don't know what language that is. My guess, my best guess, and this is a guess. I'm going to assume it might be Russian. I can't read that. I don't know what that says. All I see is the number 10. So maybe if there is a translation, I could help out if there's a question in there. But as of right now, I can't read that. I'm sorry. Back to Fatih's question. What do I do for a living? I work at a tennis retail store. That is that is about it right now. My head is in the Uh, Shay, yes, I am American, born and raised, and still living here. Silva, hello, all the way out in Brazil. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Combo Master. No, I can't really play anything. I that's not the point of this live stream. I'm here I'm here to help answer tennis questions and tennis gear related questions if anyone has any. But besides that, I'm not playing video games, bruh. I do love video games. I like them very much, but I'm not playing them on stream or anything. That ain't me. Let's see. Carlson, hello. Uh, Pedro, do I think the EZO 98 is more of an easy racket to play than a pro set? Yes. I think the EZO 98 is much more player friendly than the pro staff is, just because the pro staff does tend to be a little bit stiffer and hurt people's arm a little bit more, whereas the EZO is a little bit more flexible. The E-Zone also being the power racket from Yonex does make it a little bit easier on people's arms and just easier to generate power and easier to generate spin typically when you compare it to the Pro Staff itself. I would say that um yeah, I would say the E-Zone overall does things is more helpful than the Pro Staff, but if you want the racket to only help you with control, then the Pro Staff is going to be a little bit better than the E-Zone. It's just harder to use for most people. I get my daily vitamin C from my lenses. Hey, these lenses are helping block out the blue light from from the camera and my computer. So get great sleep with these. So I'm going to wear these. These have been amazing in making sure I sleep well. Tony, what's up, Tony? Yes, I know. I typically go live on Sunday, and Tony, I still do plan on going live on Sunday. I just was like, well, I got nothing else really to do tonight, so I figured I might as well jump on here too if anyone has questions on a Friday night. And then that way I can just help out even more if anyone has it. I'm So if you want have a question tonight, Tony, I will gladly answer it. If you want to wait until Sunday like we have been doing, we can do that. It's up to you, bro. I'm here to help if I'm able to. If not, I can get back to you on Sunday when I go live. David said go Reds. David, I know the flag is behind me. It is not my flag. From what I heard, the Reds had a terrible season. I don't watch baseball really. I have friends and family that love baseball. They watch it all the time. It, I used to play baseball. I just never really got into watching baseball. I always just thought watching it was boring. But that is their flag. Well, that is my family's flag that they own of the Reds. My family does not own the Reds. They just own the flag. That's it. I wanted to make that clear. Tabitha, I know this is weird, but I'm on a mission right now. Do I know what Dead Space is? I've heard of Dead Space. I've never played it, so I don't know. I don't know anything else about it. I just know it is a video game, like you said, Tabitha. I don't know how to pronounce this name. Is my Racket tape is the best for marimba and vibe mallets? That's an interest. That's an interesting take. Not take, but like interesting comparison. It's a cool one because I had friends when I was in band. They would always have grip tape, but they always I think used electrical tape because I think they liked how it felt in their hand a little bit better. But that's an interesting concept of just using actual tennis grip tape on a marimba or a vibe mallet. Makes sense though. Africa, stop. Goodbye. Where'd it go? Hold it. Hold on. Where'd it go? Uh, to- oh god. Hold on. Where is everything? My chat keeps changing. Let's see. For Fernando, Fernando. I love the Wilson Blade 98 V9. Do you think I would like the Gravity Tour? With the Gravity Tour versus the V not versus the Blade V9, the Gravity Tour is going to be a little bit easier on the arm and a little bit more flexible. So If you like the Blade V9 now and you like the feel of it, the Gravity you're probably not going to be the biggest fan of just because it's a different feel in terms of how it's going to flex and how it is going to be. It's just going to be a different feel overall. If you want a racket to be a little bit easier on your arm, then the Gravity Tour will do that by being more flexible than the Blade. But I wouldn't say it is a very easy switch if you were to go from the Blade V9 9816 by 19 to the Gravity Tour. That is going to be a little bit hard, and it would probably take more adjusting than you would probably want to do. But if you want to demo both of them side by side, I don't think you would have a problem with it. You can use them pretty like interchangeably once you get adjusted to the feel. Tony, he liked Ice Code. I'm glad you did, Tony. Why didn't your student like it? I'm curious. Now, granted, there are reasons why Ice Code will not work for everyone. But I just want to know, I'm curious what your student thought. But I'm glad that it worked out for you after we'd been talking about it for so long. And your wife likes my glasses. Tony, these things are great. I got like I said, my friend recommended them to me. I got them off Amazon for I think it was like 40 dollars, and they are amazing at helping me sleep better. It just does really well. Let's see. How do I feel about why does my chat keep changing up? Elton John? Hey, that's okay. Elton John, he's pretty cool. He's got some good music, so can't complain. Electric tape is best. Let's see. What do I feel about? What about feel? Which one is my favorite? EZone 98 or Pro Staff? Um, I would probably say that I would probably say of the two, Pedro, I for my game personally would prefer the EZone 98 just because I feel like I could swing that easier for longer and I wouldn't get as tired playing with that in a match compared to the pro staff. As well as I just don't want to run the risk of if my as I continue to play more and more, if my arm does get tired and my technique starts to suffer a little bit if I'm playing a match, I don't want to have the risk of the pro staff because of it being stiffer. I wouldn't want that to get back to me and potentially cause tennis elbow. So I would probably say for me, I would lean towards the EZone 98 for my specific style of play. Now, that's just me. The feel of them, they're going to feel completely different because you essentially have a power racket and control racket. I would say you're probably going to get more. You're definitely going to get more feel out of the pro staff just because the E Zone, the new one especially, tended to be very muted, especially with the new Minolin technology that Yonex put into it. And that's kind of why if people were using the old E Zone 98 16 by 19, like version 7, when they made the transition to version 8, the new one that came out this year, people the people who used the old one, they weren't necessarily as big of a fan as the new one because it didn't feel the same. It was too muted and not as stiff and not as powerful as the old one. So that's where I would say you have to be careful when going about and deciding between the two. But the EZone 98 feel wise, a little more muted, a little bit easier on the arm. Pro staff, you feel the ball more, but you have more risk of it getting of that shock and vibration getting back into your arm and elbow, potentially causing tennis elbow. Bros glasses are sponsored by Fanta. Daryl, you have some of the funniest ways of describing these glasses. I think it's hilarious. Young, hello. Should ten Should tennis players be blindfolded to make the game more challenging? No. That would just probably end in disaster. Hmm. Yeah, Joe, we don't tolerate that here. Ismail, I use Burton grip, so there's some cushion that keeps the mallets from clicking and it gives you better grip, especially when my hands get sweaty. Very nice. See, I didn't play percussion or marimba or anything. I played saxophone when I was in band, and I predominantly was in jazz band because I liked jazz band so much better than marching band. So I never got to play marimba, but I had quite a few friends that did and just played percussion. So I can talk some about it, but I can't go as in depth. Fernando, thank you. I do like the blade for its stiffness. I don't know why my blades are like breaking in the corners. Um, Fernando, when you say breaking in the corners, what do you mean? Like, where where on your racket? Where on your racket is that happening? Is it where the strings are, or is it like in the throat of the racket? Leah, if all music artists die and I'm only allowed to save five, who would I save? That is a terrible question because of there's so many good artists. Do they have to be artists that are currently still alive? Because a lot of the music I listen to, the artists are not alive anymore. Like they're already gone just because I like a lot more of the I like a lot more older music. So that would probably change my answer. If they have to be current artists, that gets harder because I don't know as many of them. If it's just all music is gone in general, I have to pick my top five. That's maybe easier to do, but I still don't know about it. Let's see. You're just spamming. Ah, sorry. My chat left me for a second. They were just spamming. Not cool. Anyway, Rio, how different is 1.20 millimeters or 1.25 millimeters on T-Fi 305S? Thinner gauge compensate for denser string pattern. It will help having the thinner gauge because of the denser string pattern. If you do, excuse me, if you do want the if you do want the strings to give you more help in terms of power and spin, then the 1.20 millimeter is going to be the better option to go with. It is going to be access more accessible, not accessible, but it's going to be more player friendly for what you want it to do. If you're trying to get a little bit more durability and control out of the string, especially using the T-Fi 305S, which is the 18 by 19 string pattern, it's already more of a dense string pattern, then I would probably go 1.25 for the durability factor. But you would notice the difference between the two. It just depends on what you want the strings to help you with. If you want power and spin, I would lean towards 1.20. You just have to know that you're going to be restringing more often because it's either going to break or it's going to lose tension faster. But if you don't want that, if you want it to last longer and you want more control, not control, but if you want it to be more durable and I guess, yeah, arguably a little bit more control, but you can generate all the power on your own, you can generate all the spin on your own, then I would go to the 1.25 compared to a 1.20. M7J, where am I from? I'm from the US. Born here, raised here, still here. uh, Amani, do I have a dog? Yes, I do have a dog. We have two dogs, but they are family dogs. So, yeah, we have two of them. One is a boxer, and one is a Labradoodle, I think. It's either a Labradoodle or a Golden Doodle. It's one of those two. I don't know. Connor, hello. Tony, see you Sunday, buddy. Have fun. Oh, my student just didn't like the feel and didn't notice any more power spin. Talk to you later. Yeah. Tony, I'll see you Sunday. Well, I will see your chats Sunday. Have a great night with whatever you're doing. And yeah, see you then. And thank you for letting me know about the student. I'll make note of that. Bro's glasses are in autumn. Hey, I'm in autumn right now where I live. So, no, wait. Yeah, we're in fall, autumn. Yeah, I'm right. Fernando, man, ban these guys spamming. I mean, I did some. I did some. King, I feel like your couch smells like grandma's. I don't know, man. This cat, I've I've known this couch my entire life. Yeah, these have always been here since I've been here. So they are old, but they still work. Uh, am I colorblind? No, I am not colorblind. Kaiden, hello. How's my day? My day's going pretty good. Work was pretty good. I was actually ahead of where I normally would be in terms of stringing for the day before I even went to lunch. So I was like, that was a good thing. And then, excuse me. And then after that, I went to go get lunch, came back, worked on a project that I was asked to help with. And yeah, after that, pretty much just went home and was prepping for tomorrow, going back to work. And that was about it. That was my work day. Hegor. Hi. If where did it go? There we go. Hi, Hegor. If I had to describe the most important aspects of a racket for injured players, what would they be? I did some research on it, but feel like most people have no idea. Thank you. Okay, so Hegor, one of the most important things that I have people look at when they are trying to find a racket that is going to help them if they are injured, one of the most important things is going to be the stiffness rating of the actual racket itself. So this is typically seen in examples of, say, the Wilson Clash version 3. That racket, if you look at the stiffness rating of it, that is typically somewhere in the 30s. I think it is around a 38 for the normal Clash 100 V3, but most of the Clashes are in the have a low number on the stiffness rating. So by having a lower number on the stiffness rating, that means that the racket is more flexible. The more flexible the racket, the more the racket is going to absorb the shock and the impact before it gets back into your arm or your elbow, essentially causing tennis elbow. So it's also very good at helping to prevent that. Now, depending upon the injury of the player, that then changes what other factors to look into as well. Because stiffness, I'd say, is probably one of the more important parts in helping to prevent injury or helping to recover from injury. The second part is really just the dampening technology that's in the racket itself. This is why, even though they're not as popular of a brand in terms of like the big names that you would see on the Pro Tour, the brand known as Volkl, Volkl, they are amazing at being arm friendly and helping to prevent tennis elbow, or if you have it, helping you to get rid of it. I have proof of, well, I have social proof of this because my boss, well, not my boss, but someone that I work with at my job, when she was getting back into tennis, she had tennis elbow and she also had some shoulder pain as well. And the people that were working there at the time, they gave her a Volkl racket and they said, "Hey, play with this." And so that way, play with this until your tennis elbow and your injury is healed up, and then you'll be good to go. And you will essentially have free range to play with whatever you want as long as you're careful. And she was like, "Okay, cool." So she did that. She played with the Volkl. She got through it. She got through the time. And she was actually able to come back stronger, better than ever. And now, when she plays, she uses a Wilson Blade 98 18 by 20, which is a hard racket to use for anybody. So that's where, after stiffness, Volkl is Volkl is a very nice brand, even though they have a higher stiffness rating on their rackets. The dampening technology that they have in the racket is very, very good at helping to prevent tennis elbow and that kind of injury, as well as helping to just combat it if you already have it. Because if you look at a Volkl racket, especially the new ones like the Vostra line, if you look at the bottom of the grip, if you look at the butt cap, it's red. And if you feel it, it's rubber. So that rubber is throughout the entire handle of the racket to absorb that shock and vibration, as well as they also have more dampening technology. They have more dampening technology throughout the rest of the racket as well. So for that, Higor, it is going to be stiffness is always one I look at when we're dealing with an injury. And the second is the dampening technology of the actual rackets themselves. The other brand that I've heard of that works very well, I have only got to play with it once. Besides Volkl is Prokenix. They also do tend to be a more generally accepted, easy on the arm brand for tennis rackets. So Volkl and Prokenix are typically where I would start to look for someone if they are wanting to just get a racket that maybe a little bit more suited for what they want to do with their game. If not, then I usually will recommend to demo the Wilson Clash because those are very easy on the arm. If they want an oversized racket, then sometimes the Wilson Triads do very nicely depending upon how big they want to go and how light. And also the head gravity lines, because the stiffness ratings on those are typically about 58s. So they are much higher than the Clashes, but those I think are some of the closest in terms of those I think are some of the closest rackets to the Clash in terms of stiffness. And that's where it is always highly, highly recommended to demo these rackets, especially with an injury, just to see if any of these help at all, and to make sure that there is a little bit of a softer string, whether it be a multi-filament or even natural gut at times, if we need to go that far. So, Higor, I hope that answered the question. If I see your comment that you did comment while I was explaining that, I will try and find it and come back to this. If not, and that wasn't helpful, tell me and I'll try and explain again. Papa, how am I doing? I'm doing good. How are you? Monty, yes, I do have dogs. Uh could I tell you where could you tell me where you are now? No. I am in America. That is where I am now. It's Fernando, I had the E-Zone 98 V7. I changed for the Blade V9. I used to hit long with the E-Zone, but I think it was skill issue. It does not happen to me with the Blade though. Well, the Blade is the blade is more of a control racket. The E-Zone is a little bit more powerful, Fernando. So the E-Zone itself is going to give a little bit more power, and it's just going to drive the ball a little bit more than the blade does just naturally. So it may not have been a complete skill issue. That may have been partly involved. And that's not me saying anything because I have a bunch of skill issues too when I play. But the racket does make a big difference when you actually are trying to get like very specific on a goal that you're trying to obtain by having a specific racket or a specific string. Uh, so they're breaking in the corner of the throat. Fernando, what are you stringing? What do you string your racket with, and what tension do you string at? Because if they're breaking in the corner of the throat, and if it's in the throat and it's right underneath where the strings would be, sometimes that can be a stress fracture from stringing. But that would depend on the tension that you're using and the type of string. If it's down towards the bottom, at that point, then it might be. I'm not sure what I'm not sure off the top of my head what it could be because it could just be from It could just be from use, or maybe sometimes if your racket has fallen, it may have made it structurally a little bit more unsound, or there's the potential that you may just need to send it in for warranty to Wilson, depending upon when you bought it, if it's still under warranty. So there's a few things it could be, but if you could tell me if it's underneath the string, like right underneath the strings, or if it's at the bottom, that would help me a little bit more in kind of like trying to figure out what may be going on. Let's see. Shadow Girl, hello. Mogul, what country am I from? I'm from the U.S. I'm from the U.S., bro. Fernando, I'm liking the Slinko Confidential. Confidential 1.25. I can get 1.3 very cheap. What do you think is the difference? 1.25 if you like confidential 1.25, 1.3 excuse me. 1.3 it's going to be a little more durable. It's not going to have as much spin, it's not going to have as much power. It might last you a little bit longer, but for me personally, I found the confidential I can play with confidential, but it takes so long to break in that it takes me almost half the time I can play with confidential to break it in. And then the other half of the time, it's like great for that first session or maybe the first two sessions after I break it in. And then after that, I can just feel the tension decline. So I'm like, confidential for me normally doesn't work out as well as some others. But if you're using 1.25 to 1.3, if everything you like about 1.25 will be fairly similar in 1.3, Fernando, except for the fact that 1.3 is going to be more controlled, it's going to be more durable, and it's not going to have as much spin, and it's not going to have as much power. So those are kind of the two trade-offs with going to the different gauges. Yasha, hi, remember me. Hold on. Yes. Hold on. Yasha, you were here. When were you here? You were here. It was either last Sunday or the Sunday before, I think. Because I feel like that's when it was. I don't I don't remember exactly when, but I do remember you being here. Hello. Let's see. What? Hold on. What is this? Ah. Let's see. Hold on. Where is everything? My chat's going crazy. What city are you from, bro? The closest city to me, that is going to be basically Cincinnati, pretty much, as you could probably guess from the Reds thing right there. Game over, Jesse. Hello. Nice to see you here if you're still here. And I am not Spider Man. I'm not Tobey Maguire. I am not Andrew Garfield. I am not Tom Holland. I've never even seen Spider Man. I just know those guys because my brother absolutely loves Marvel and absolutely loves Spider Man. So that's how I know those guys. Mogul, love from India. Thank you so much. Love from the US, bruh. I'm scared of gorillas. I mean, if a gorilla starts charging at me, yeah, I would be scared. If just a random silverback gorilla found me, I would not know what to do. And if I tried to run and it started chasing me, I would be terrified. I don't know anyone who wouldn't be terrified of that. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Deep, what's up? Bro, love to see you grow in the channel, staying consistent. Want to ask about my streaming journey. Was it tough at first? Could you have predicted how competent and how fast you'd get at streaming? Let's keep ignoring the trolls. Uh, Deep, stringing in terms of me actually learning how to string, that in the beginning it was hard just because it's something new and my fingers were not used to it. So luckily the people that were teaching me, they were nice and didn't give me a polyester like Black Widow or what was it? Or Babolat RPM Blast Rough for me to start out with. So they were nice enough to give me softer strings like a synthetic gut or a multi-filament to learn on. And the very first racket I ever did by myself with a guy watching and helping me, it was a Babolat Pure Drive 20. It was the 2018 Babolat Pure Drive, just the normal one. And I will say I did not think I would get as fast as those guys. I was at work today and I didn't have a set timer on, but I could tell just by how I was going and by how fast I was getting these rackets done. Cause my average time right now is typically about 2 rackets an hour. But today, at the very beginning of the day, I was from 8 to 9 a.m. to 9 to 10 p.m. I averaged about 3 rackets per an hour. So I did some of those rackets in about 15 minutes. I did some in 20. So I was very impressed with myself today just because it's one of those things where it took a while and there was always a time where I was in a rut where I was like, man, I see these guys who are putting up insane numbers to where we have some guys in my work that can string. I think the max I've seen him do in one day is like 30 something. And then I'm over here barely even cracking 12 at the time. And then now today, I finished the day with 21 rackets done. Whereas when I finished at 21 rackets when I stopped stringing for the day. If I had kept going, I probably could have maxed out at maybe 24, 25, but I had to help with a few other projects at work. So I was like, seeing the amount of difference over time has just been fun. And now that I'm more competent at it, it also does help me to understand just the other aspects of tennis as well in terms of how the string plays, like the string bed stiffness, the shape to it, the tension, how that all is going to affect it. And now that I can do it for myself, it also helps save my wallet some money because I really don't want to have to pay for everyone to do that the entire time. So yeah, it was cool to see. It was cool to see the difference, and it's just a fun thing. I enjoy stringing a lot now. I quite literally have my own stringing machine at my house. So yeah, it's fun. It's a cool process. It's and if I remember right, you either are stringing or you're wanting to start stringing deep, and if you are, it's fun. I think people will enjoy it if they can get past the initial first few times to where it's going to take you a long time to do the first one. Like the first one typically is at least an hour because you're trying to learn everything. You have to find the skips. You have to know where the skips are. You have to understand how to tie the knot, how to tension it, and do all that stuff. But once you get it down, and especially if you're starting or learning on a head racket that tells you what holes to put the string into, it's easy. You can figure it out, and then you can pretty much translate to almost any racket you ever use. Jeremiah, hello, sir. Fernando, 23 kilograms, sling confidential. It's in the upper throat corner. I did send one racket, but it happened with all three. Oh. Fernando, if it happened with all three, 23 kilograms. Hold on, I gotta do that conversion. I'm not kilograms and me, not the best of friends. Oh, so you're at 50. Okay. Well, around 50 pounds. If that is the case, then Fernando, of course, Fernando. I saw your next comment about thank you for answering all the questions. Of course, but if that's happened on all of them, if the first one you sent got like the warranty was approved, then I would probably just send the others back as well and just say, hey, this has happened on all of them. Because I haven't heard of anything with the blades in terms of like a recall or that problem happening to very many people. So if the first one was accepted by Wilson, they replaced it, and it happened to the other two that you did purchase, then I would probably just send them back to Wilson to get them replaced under the warranty. Because if you're using 23 kilos, you can pretty much since that's like the bottom end of their range, they should have no problem with the tension. But I think you might as well just try sending it back just to see what they say. Jeez, what is happening? Mom hot. Carlin, hello in the Philippines. Thank you for being here. That's pretty cool. Good morning from the Philippines. Good night from the U.S. It is nighttime here, but that's cool. All right, you get to go away. Let's see. For curiosity, where I am from, it's not that expensive to be a member of a club and have courts to play. There in the U.S., most people pay for public courts. How difficult is it to find them? Most people don't pay for public courts here in the U.S. A lot of the times, at least where I am, there's a lot of free courts at parks and also just kind of like set aside. I don't know of any public court that you have to pay for. At least where I am. It may be different in other parts of the United States where maybe they're more landlocked, like say maybe New York City or bigger cities, but I also do belong to a tennis club, so that way I can play during the winter as well, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to be playing outside in the snow. I enjoy the snow. I just don't want to be playing tennis in the snow. I've tried to do it before, not a good idea. So yeah, but I've always had easy and plenty of times finding courts. It's just making sure that they're open and that like someone else isn't on them, because if they are, you of course you have to wait your turn. But I don't know of any like I don't know of any like pay to be on public courts. I've never heard of that, Fernando. Lou loving the Strike 98 version 4 with RPM at 48 for the last week. Current racket is Speed MP Legend with Mach 10 at 48. Should I switch, or am I crazy? Am I honeymooning? Well, uh, Lou, I would say that for right now, if it's only been a week, you're probably still honeymooning. New racket syndrome is probably still in effect right now. So I would probably give it a little bit before you fully commit to, say, going to a different making a full switch to the Strike 98. And one other way you can really test that, Lou, is if instead of using Mach 10 at 48 in your Speed MP Legend, if you really like the strike setup you're using now with RPM Blast, then I would put RPM in your speed, see how that does first, because it may just be the string you like and not the actual racket itself. And then you don't have to change, then you don't have to buy a racket. You don't have to buy a racket and spend that much money. You just have to pay to change your string. However, if you find out it's not just the string, it is the actual racket because you've tried RPM in your speed and you're like, no, this was not the reason I liked it. Then it's like, okay, it makes more sense for you to be able to go buy that racket than just honeymooning with it and being like, oh, well, I tried it for the 1 week, buy it, try it with something else, and you're like, oh, I didn't actually like this thing. So I would probably start with trying RPM in your speed and then going from there. Deep, not bad. You usually hear about the best of the best. We'll get a racket done in 15 to 20 minutes, but speed isn't always everything, right? Correct, Deep. Speed is not always everything, especially just because you want to make sure that everything is done correctly. But as you continue to get better and better, then by you are able to actually do a high quality string job in a short amount of time. That's when you can find a good sweet spot, and that's usually where a lot of the higher level stringers do stand. Some stringers do sacrifice quality for speed. I don't personally like that. I want to make sure that if whoever's racket I have in my hand, whether it's a demo or someone else actual racket, I want to make sure that the string job is a good string job, because it just makes tennis much more enjoyable and much more fun when you don't have to worry about your strings or your gear potentially being harmful to you. So I want to make sure that I do it right, and that's me. In Windsor, Ontario, Canada, which is a 10-minute drive from the Michigan border. Our clubs usually charge $40 for a group lesson. One-on-one can be anywhere from 60 to $90 an hour. Wow. Let's see. Let's see. Deep. Stringing is definitely an art I appreciate. I'm in the HVAC field, so there are parallels to servicing rackets when we're assembling certain components. Interesting. I've ne- I've never would have thought HVAC and stringing would go hand in hand, but hey, if they do, they do. I mean, I guess you still are like building something in terms of making it fit for the environment that it's going into, but that's cool. Nice parallel, deep. That was deep. Uh, Pun intended. For now, it's like a difficult situation because I bought them of a store in my club. So I first sent one and it's been waiting like 4 months by now. So I didn't want to send them all. And Fernando, if you bought them from your tennis club, but they're still Wilson rackets, if you still have the receipt for them, or at least you can prove where you bought them, I would maybe just try and go to Wilson directly. Because if you can go to Wilson directly and you don't have to deal with your club as the middle person that's been taking for 4 months, taking it that's been taking them 4 months to get back to you, then Wilson would probably be able to give you a much easier and quicker answer. And then that way you can just like know whether or not you need to get new rackets or whether you're getting new rackets under the warranty. So if you can find your receipt or if you can go ask your club for the receipt of the transaction, I'd probably do that and then I may just send one of them or two of them to Wilson yourself. Felix, hello. Tobias, hello. Uh, Tobias, Tobias, I'm assuming you are speaking Spanish, and I do not know Spanish. So, whatever you're saying, I cannot help you. I am sorry. I don't know what you're saying. Yeah, 60 to 90 an hour is brutal here in Chile. ATP coaches charge around $30 at most for it. That's crazy. That's crazy, Fernando. That would be pretty nice. Mr. Bill, that's fun. If the zombie apocalypse happens tonight, will I use my tennis racket to defend myself as weapons? I mean, if that's the only thing that I got next to me, probably. I mean, I can at least like whack some zombie heads with them. That may not be the most effective, but it's there. It's what I got, and I can probably use my bag as a slight shield for a little bit. Drew, hello. Dark, man, I'm depressed. Don't. Why are you depressed, man? That's not fun. I hope you can get out of it. Drew, what am I talking about? So, Drew, I'm talking about tennis gear related questions. If you have that is the point of this live stream. If you have tennis related questions, I'm here to help answer them. I can talk you through tennis rackets, tennis strings, tennis shoes, some other gear if you prefer. Some people have asked about socks to play tennis in before. It's just kind of whatever's going on. And then of course, as you can see in the chat, there's other questions in here too. So if you have anything that you want to ask, drop it in the chat and we'll see if I can help out. Mike, it's Friday and you have no friends to hang out with. Mike, I enjoy doing this. Like I got home from work and I was like, I'm gonna go live today. So there's my friends probably are doing something. I don't know. I really don't care. I'm here having a good time. Deep. I wish I was in a beautiful country like Chile. You're so lucky. But I guess there's good things about Canada and the USA. Carolyn, hello. Igor, another thing I'm curious about. What do you think about extended rackets? Most things seem pretty intuitive, but there's probably more complex differences. Uh, Igor, with extended rackets, biggest thing besides just like you have decreased maneuverability because you have to swing more racket is that you also have to adjust your strokes quite a bit more just because of the extra length. You have to space yourself differently. You do get much more power on almost every single ground stroke and your serve. As long as you are able to control it, that's fine, and the power is helpful. But It also is going to be harder on you, and it's going to wear on you more just because the racket is demanding so much more of you. But it does well. I have played with extendeds before. I've never officially switched to one. I had a friend that he was an absolute monster with the Slinko whiteout extended, not the 28-inch version, but the 27 and a half. You can make them work. It's hard to do, but you can make them work. You just have to be willing to go through the trial and error process of figuring out how to make it work. And then I think I saw, Igor, you had another comment that I might have accidentally looked over. There it is. I read that low RA rackets also need more weight to help reduce vibration. Is that true? Uh, that's that kind of comes into the dampening technology, Igor. That's why I started talking about vocal, because the dampening technology in them, or even the dampening technology in the Clash, that is going to be one of the things that also helps to decrease some of the shock and vibration. You can add weight to some of those rackets, just because a just because the racket itself with more weight is going to be a little bit more stable, so it's not going to be as harmful as, say, some lighter weight rackets, because the ball is going to impact the racket more since the racket is not as stable. Let me pull out a racket and maybe demonstrate this a little bit better. So, like, on this racket, right? This racket is, if let's say this was a light racket and you go to hit the ball, Igor, if this is a lighter weight racket, there's higher chance that the racket is going to twist in your hand like this, because especially if the ball is being hit harder at you than what you're used to, the racket weight may not be able to handle it. However, if this racket is heavier, like you kind of mentioned about having a lower stiffness R8 racket with a heavier weight, if it is heavier, then that extra weight is going to, when the racket hits the ball, is going to let the racket stay stable and just kind of transfer the energy back to the ball and not have it go back to you. So sometimes heavier rackets work with a low stiffness. It just is at that point kind of personal preference to how the player feels, and you just kind of have to go from there. Ray, why tennis? Tennis because when I was younger, I had played basketball and I was done with that. I had played baseball. I was done with that. I did both of those for many years. And then I was completely happy and completely fine with just sitting in my room playing video games. But my mom said no. She said, you have to go outside and you have to play a sport. You have to do something. I was like, fine. So I ended up choosing tennis because it is it was one of the only sports that I ever saw where you were not on a team. You were the outcome of what happens was completely dependent upon yourself. And so I was like, I can vibe with that. And so that's where me and tennis started, and we've been together ever since. Let's see. Sam, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say the rest of the name. Hello, bro. How are you? I'm doing pretty good. We're live. We're having fun. We're having a time. How are you doing, sir? Ahmed, love from Pakistan. Thank you, sir. Love from the U.S. Sam again. You're from Delhi in India. Where am I from? I'm from the U.S., man. Closest city to me is going to be Cincinnati. So right around that Ohio area. That's going to be the closest like big major city to me that most people would understand what I'm talking about. Fernando, deep thanks. There is a lot of good things with Canada and the U.S., and the difference in prices, of course, are in line with salaries. Makes sense. Let's see where to go. Carolyn, hello. Keto? Can I rate your song? I do not have any way to play a song, so can't really rate it. Fernando, yeah, I think I'll contact Wilson Chile and talk the problem to them. Yeah, that's that's probably the best course of action for now, just so that way you can actually get an answer. Let's see. Deep, I'd mostly be happiest about living in South America because you guys have the good organic food and a laid back approach to life. Sam, I like your glasses. Thank you. I appreciate it. Uh, Kingo, I didn't know how to pronounce the first two parts of the name, so I just went with Kingo. That was my best guess. If I said it wrong, I'm sorry. I really am. Do I have a piano? I do have a piano. I do have a piano. I have a keyboard. Let me rephrase it. I have a keyboard. I do not have a piano. Big difference. I don't know how to play the keyboard or the piano, but I have one because I wanted to start playing it. Bootleg Jake Paul looking wannabe. Dude, I'm not blonde. I can't be a bootleg Jake Paul. I'm not blonde. I also think he's taller than me. Vinny, I like your hair. Thank you. I appreciate it. Deep, you are very welcome. People here, it's our best asset, and we have decent tenants too. Fernando, it's actually cool that you're from Chile because there's another guy that he sometimes comes to these streams. He sometimes doesn't, but I've gotten to know him from doing YouTube and Instagram. Is that his name is Matthias? He's also from Chile too, and he was telling me how some of the like ranking systems work for Chile in terms of like tournaments and in the clubs, and it's pretty like intricate when you actually are starting to learn about it, but it seems like it does very well for you guys over there. Stefan, hi. Let's see. Do ask swing and adjust strokes for power and lengthen the serve. Powerful is harder as racket is demanding. I look like Robert Downey Jr. Hey, I'll take Iron Man, I think. Right? He played Iron Man? Did he? I don't know. I think he did. Are you I don't know who that is. Nevi, hello. Let's see. Fernando. Man, in my opinion, which brand has the better grip shape? Lastly, I'm finding a bit uncomfortable the bottom part of the blade one. I don't know why. Uh, you might be finding the blade a little bit more uncomfortable just because the actual butt cap of the Wilson rackets does tend to be a little bit flared out. I personally, I don't necessarily have a favorite grip shape or a palette shape that I like best. I've noticed that I have started to gravitate towards rackets with the palette shape of the Solinko Blackout because that's just the racket I've been playing with the most recently. So I'd say that's probably the one I like the best right now. But I've also had success with Technofiber where it's more rectangular. Head I've always had a good time with where it's more of an oval. I think that's more just of like more of a subjective thing than it is like I can say this is the best one ever, just because it's different for everyone. Fernando, Igor, great answer about the mass of the racket. Thank you. Of course, glad to help. Let's see. Yasha, how many years have I been playing tennis? I've been playing tennis for about 10 years. That doesn't mean I took it seriously for all of those 10 years, but I've been roughly playing for about 10 years. I have this picture in my phone. It's of very young, smaller me when I was on a family vacation. My cousin and my uncle, they went to go play tennis, and me being like 8 or 9, I think, in the photo, I went with them, and I was just like, uh I want to go because I was bored and it was a family vacation. I wanted to do something. And they're like, okay, we're playing tennis. Let's go. Let's go. And I was like, okay. So there's a picture of me with a racket in my hand that my dad bought me from like Walmart or a Dick's Sporting Goods. It's a Prince racket. And I remember that because I found one. Someone brought in that same racket to get strung. I was like, this is the racket I played with when I was first playing. And it's a picture of me just like reaching out like this, trying to reach the ball because I'm too short to actually do it, and it's on like weird clay. And I'm like, dude, it was fun, yeah. It's fun, Yasha. It's been about, but I think it's been about 10 years. Let's see. Joel, what's up? PA, I have a question. Hypothetically, if there was an infinite hole and you threw an object down into that hole, what would the object's speed top off at? I would wouldn't the speed just top off at infinity because it's an infinite hole, so it always is falling, so then it never can lose speed. It's always just going to gain speed until it's just falling forever infinitely. Maybe. I don't know. Jonah, no. No, you cannot. And if you start, I will just remove the comment and get rid of it. Harini, you're looking good, brother. Where are you from? I'm from the US. Let's see. Okay. Alright. You get to go away for a bit. We don't appreciate spamming. For now, yeah, in my club you can watch very high level matches most days. There are some juniors and features players, so that's amazing. Very nice. Netflix? I don't know what that is. What am Snowflex? What am I doing here? Snowflex, this is a live stream talking about tennis gear, tennis related questions. If you have any questions, I'm here to help answer them as best as I can. Let's see. Deep opinions on what makes some people more defensive spin guys like Nadal versus more flat aggressors like Sampras, etc. Is it preference or more what their abilities better lend themselves towards? I think a lot of it is just preference, but I also think it depends on the surface, like the court surface that they grow up playing on. Because if you look at a lot of the really heavy topspin players like Nadal and Carlos, they grew up playing on red clay or like just clay in general as their main surface. Whereas with Sampras and just other guys that just absolutely like batter the ball, they're predominantly playing on hard courts. And that's their kind of like, that's kind of what they take into their training as professionals, is because that's what they grew up with, that's what they're used to, that's what they're most comfortable with. So that's why I think it is more of a person by person thing, but I also think it does have a I think the original court surface that they learn and practice on the most as they are becoming more as they start playing more and more, I think that is a very big and prominent thing that develops and changes their game style. Let's see. Lewis, why does the head gravity 98 feel stiffer than my pure drive 98? Uh, it may just be the string. It may be the string that's in there. I don't know what strings you normally use or the tension, and I also don't know what was in the gravity that you were playing with. So if it's feeling stiffer, it's probably the string. That would be my guess. Or it's either the string or the tension that the strings are at. That would be my guess, Lewis. Let's see. Wait, Lewis, was there actually a spider? I thought he was just like spamming that just to try and get me to do something. But if there was actually a spider, oh, all right. Yasha, don't be shy. Show us that younger picture of yourself. Unfortunately, I cannot because I'm using my phone to actually have this live stream happen. So maybe at some point, maybe at some point, Yasha. We can't do it today. Let's see. Terminal velocity. Okay. Emmanuel, currently trying my first hybrid setup. Tectofiber Razor on the mains at 52 and Mach 10 for on the cross at 40 on my V-Core 100. It's amazing. Thanks for educating us on string related topic. Of course. I'm glad to help out as much as I can. That's an interesting combination, Emmanuel. Is that regular Razor code or is that Razor soft for the Tectofiber string that you have in the mains? I'd be curious to know. Harini, uh, I I think the government is still shut down. I don't honestly know. Just because there's talks of it opening, there's talks of it staying shut down. I don't know. Honestly, at this point, it's kind of whatever's happening at the moment. Very, I look like I don't know what that is, and I don't know what Stray Kids is. Let's find out. Am I gonna regret? Uh, Bro, I think you might be blind. At least a little bit. I don't look anything like that, dude. Fernando, how old am I? Just curious. Just curious. Fernando, how old do you think I am? I've played this game once before with stream, and no one got the answer right. Everyone was always older. So while while you all think about that, I will say I will be right back. I have to go to the bathroom, and then I will be right back. If you want to go, if you want to go, I understand. I will, but if not, I will catch you back here in a few minutes, and then I will get back to where I was in the chat, and I will go through and answer the questions that did come in. Oh, yeah. All right, I'm back. All right. All right. Deep, right? What I appreciate so much about defensive players is how exciting they make the game. I get that at the end of the day, you want the W, but watching aces or even playing aces just isn't as fun. Sir, you don't want just serve bots absolutely running the show deep. I mean, I get it. Lewis, do I think the one-handed backhand is completely dead? It seems to me with a deader ball and slower courts, it seems like you would have more time to unwind and really hit those giant one-handed backhands. I don't think it's completely dead. I think it is very. I think it potentially is very close, but also even with the slower courts, yes, that is a reason why it is more likely to be used. However, I just really don't see or I don't hear about a lot of coaches actually teaching the one-handed backhand anymore. It just seems to be more of the niche thing to where like it's typically towards the older generation that has it and not many of the younger generation is using it, especially just because the two-handed backhand is easier to teach. Whereas the one-handed backhand, you have to be much more precise. You have to be almost perfect on your timing the entire time. Whereas with the two-handed backhand, you get more leeway and you get more room for error. And that's why I think that the two-hander is starting to reign supreme right now, especially just because if you're off slightly with a one-e, the racket is not going to be as stable or able to support the shot. Whereas if you just have that second hand on it, you can stabilize the racket a little bit more and just redirect the pace a little bit easier, even if you're not in the correct position. So I think the two-handed backhand, the merits of it for right now in today's game, just the fact that it's easier to access and it is arguably being used by most of the top players that kids would want to be and emulate now. I the one-handed backhand, it is always going to be there. It's always going to be great. It's always going to look better than the two-handed backhand, but I don't think it's going to be able to compete. I don't think it's completely dead yet. I hope it never gets dead, but it's close, I would say. Manuel Razorsoft, thank you for letting me know. Fernando's at 28. Luis 26. Yasha's at 23. So I am now Yasha, you were close because you've been here before, but and Deep has been too, but that was a while ago. But I'm 24 now. My birthday was a few weeks ago, and I actually did a stream on my birthday. You can also find it on this channel. But yeah, I'm 24 now. Let's see. Deep thoughts on using basketball shoes for tennis. I wear the New Balance two-way V5s because Foot Doctor Zach recommends them for tennis. Honestly, I like the extra cushioning compared to tennis shoes. So Deep, I have recommended people go buy specific basketball shoes, meaning that they are made and designed to play basketball in for tennis before, especially if that's what they're comfortable with and that's what they're familiar with. Because it not only worked for kids that I played high school tennis with, but it's also just worked out, especially for weirdly enough, people that play pickleball, if they're playing on like that gym floor, the laminate flooring to where it's more slick, the basketball shoes, because that's kind of the floor they're designed to be on, works so much better than court shoes do because court shoes do tend to be slick and sometimes can be a little bit more issue prone than the basketball shoe. But if you find that it works, as long as you got the ankle support and you're not running the risk of rolling your ankle, I think basketball court shoes are completely fine. The store I work at, we don't sell them just because we're a tennis only, well, tennis gear store only. We wouldn't have other sports like basketball stuff. But if it works for you, it works for you. As long as you get to play tennis and you get to enjoy yourself, I don't necessarily care what shoes you're wearing. But if there's a problem, then it's like, okay, what do we need? What do we need to do to fix something? Uh, Brazil. What do I think if a tennis player wins 4 Grand Slams and an Olympic title in their first year and then finishes with the championship? Will he be considered the best player of all time? No. He'll be considered one of the greats, but unless that player is able to continue the achievements past that year, they will not be considered the greatest of all time. Until they beat they may for some people be considered the greatest because they were able to achieve something never done before. But if they are not able to continue and sustain that level of winnings, I don't think that they could be considered in that conversation. Yeah. Deep, what Lewis says, just be careful using the soft soles. They'll tear fast on the surface. Fernando, do you guys think you could get 1 point from Novak? I think I could not. Dude, probably not right now. Like, is Novak playing left-handed? Is he in that wheelchair when he did that wheelchair tennis event and for charity? If he's in the wheelchair, maybe I get one on him if I'm not in a wheelchair. But if it's just normal Novak, probably not. I don't even know if I could return his serve. I'd love to try, but I don't know. Yeah, right. Seems like certain basketball outsoles shoes work very well for tennis. Not all, especially these shoes specifically for indoor basketball. Yeah. I'll get 1 point from Novak if he's drunk and sleep deprived. Even that's a long shot. Yeah, that's about it. That's about right. What do I think of Family Guy Quagmire? I mean, I haven't watched a lot of Family Guy. I know that Quagmire is like one of the main characters, but I don't know as much about him. I know kind of what his character is supposed to be, and I'm just like I I'm glad I don't know anyone like this in real life, but he's funny because it's in the show. Uh Mopork, if you want me to stop talking, just leave. No one's forcing you to be here. Gracie, thank you for the kind words. They are appreciated. Deep, I just turned 30 in September. Blah. Miss being in my 20s, but we got to stay active. Dude, you you just turned 30. Your 20s were less than 2 months ago. Come on, man. Miss it. What are you talking about? You just got where you are. Can't wait for the 2026 Rackets to come out, all the new content. Dude, there's a lot coming out in 2026. I'm excited. I hope I can get access to some of the stuff. It'll be cool. It'll be fun. It'll be a great time. Big things are coming in 2026. We'll see all what happens. But it should be a fun time. There's absolutely I know some people can be cruel, but I'm not one of those people. Well, thanks, Gracie. Very not very nice. Let's see. Fernando, bro just arrived and it's talking like it's a far past. I know, right? Come on, Deep. All right, cool. So, I've made it to the bottom of chat, I think. Yes. Does anyone else have any other tennis gear related questions? Because we're still here. We're still going. If anyone's got anything. Well, guys, get to 30 and tell me you don't miss your younger days. Well, when we get there, we'll have to revisit this deep. Wait, Fernando, how old are you then? Because we're getting on deep here a little bit. Let's see. M, what's up? Okay, Fernando. We're about the same age then. Not bad. That's cool. Dorian. M, have you never had tennis elbow? I've gotten it a few times from incorrect sleeping and laptop. I've luckily never had tennis elbow. I've been very fortunate in terms of working of just my knowledge of tennis gear to help me prevent tennis elbow. And luckily I've never had anything else potentially cause it. I think there was one time where I thought I was starting to get it. So because of that, I just took a preventative measure. I think like I took a week off and it that was enough for me to recover. But it's different for everyone, so I'm not entirely sure, but luckily have never had tennis elbow. Deep E-zone versus Percept. What do we think? For me, I'm going Percept. That's just me. I like the way the Percept played better than the E-zone, but that's for my game. That is not going to be everyone's take. But E-zone is definitely the more player friendly racket. Percept, if you can generate the spin, you can generate the power you want on your own, then I think the Percept does very nicely at controlling it. And I just like the feel of the Percept a little bit better. But that's me. Fernando, you're 23 at 27. What does that mean? Does that mean you're 27 or does that mean you're 23? Nice, deep, nice. You guys are in your prime. Miss those days. I could just go and go. Even M's jumping in. He's like, "We're not in our prime. We have old people issues since our teens. Gen Z is cooked, bro. That's crazy." M, how old are you? If you're saying that, let's see. Isami, what strings are on that racket? I use the same one. So this is the Head Radical Pro in the 18 by 20 string pattern. So this one's a little bit different, but the string that is in here, Isami, this is Head Links Tour in orange. So that's why it matches the color. I'd say it matches it pretty well. I also like Head Links Tour. Now, this is the first racket I played the orange color in, but it's still Head Links Tour. It played very similar. Deep. The Percept is a beautiful racket. The day I can spend $300 on a racket, I gotta try out a Yonex. Dude, I was so pissed when my work was getting the perceps in the purple midnight navy color, because it was purple and I knew the racket was coming. I wanted the racket so bad. And then I go to get it after we get some in, and my grips, and we're out of my grip size. And I was so sad because I just wanted that racket because I had just switched to the perceps before they came out. And then I knew that was showing up so that way I could get one. And then I couldn't because they didn't have my grip size, and I was sad, and I still haven't been able to buy one yet. And I was just like, man, it's such a nice, both looking racket and just nice racket to play with. I want it, but I didn't. Is 300 on a racket a lot? How much is the average racket? So 300 is on the higher side for tennis rackets, at least for the good quality ones. Hold on. Yeah, 300's for the higher quality ones. Average price for those that are on the high end, you're typically looking at about 269 US dollars. That's like the average for most of the brands right now, but you can still find rackets like this to where they're older versions of current models. You can find some of these for like around between 100 to 150 USD sometimes. Just depends on where you look and where you get them, but 300's a lot for one racket. Fernando, are you asking if I went to uni or if someone else did? Relaxation, listen to Russian rap. I have not ever listened to a Russian rap. I can say that. And hello. Uh, Deep. What's everyone's grip? I'm in L2 right now on my Wilson shift with one super grab and white overgrip on it. I typically go back and forth between an L3 or an L4. Both of my perceps that I have, those are both L4s. No, one of them is an L4. The other one I made into an L4. But I grew up playing with L3, and so I can use that, and it works just fine. So it just depends on whatever racket I have. You still didn't fix your sleep schedule. The insomnia is still hitting. You gonna go? Are you gonna go do the dishes again this time and say I'm gonna go do the dishes and then go to bed? Oh yeah, I also do use overgrips too on my rackets. We're gonna hear Battle Ladder going for 350 and Yonex for 220. Crazy. Wilson for its global price, bro. Yonex for 220 is crazy. And Battle Lab for 350. That's also insane. Yes, I'm 24. Okay, so you're my age. Okay, cool. And Fernando, yes, I did go to university. I have an associate's degree. I mainly just stayed in college and uni just because I was getting paid to go there. So I was having a grand old time making money while getting a degree. So I was like, yeah, I'll do this. And then I graduated in like a year and a half because I took summer classes because I wanted to just get done as fast as I possibly could. Acid Phoenix, sup, man? What's up? How are you? Fernando uses an L3 with 2 Wilson overgrips on top of the base one. I would like to use L4, but here it's impossible to find them. Interesting. Huh. That's fair. Most guys are at my club are L3 unless they're Nadal fanboys like me. Only thing I haven't been able to do is get the banana colored Pure Aero because it barely goes on sale. Ugh. Are you talking Deep? Are you talking about the Bumblebee Pure Aero that's from 2018? Is it 2018? Hold on. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Yeah, the 2018 Pure Aero, the Bumblebee looking thing. Yeah, Deep. Youngs for 220 is great. Brandon, Andy Murray is from my town. Really? Where are you from, Brandon? I'm assuming Fernanda Associate's degree. Never heard of it. Here, college degrees are at least 5 years. My degree, it's 11 semesters. Dude, that's crazy. A, 5 years for just all the degrees? Nah. My degree, year and a half. Associate's degrees are typically 2 years here in the U.S. I just, like I said, took courses over the summer so I could get done faster, and that was it. But yeah, that's crazy that it takes 5 years to get just one. I don't know if I would want to do that. What degree are you getting though? What degree are you getting though, Fernando? If it's taking you 11 semesters? Beluga, hello. Brandon Dunblane? I probably said that wrong because I don't know the accent, but yeah. Cool. Deep, I mean, all the Pureos got that banana or bumblebee color, lol. There's a very specific bumblebee color, Deep. If you look, let me make sure it's the 2018 one. 2018 Pure Aero. Oh no, I'm wrong. It's the 2019 one. 2018 was the last year for the 2015 Pure Aero. No, I'm talking about the 2019 Pure Aero. That thing is a bumblebee. No matter what way you look at it, and is the most bumblebee of a bumblebee. I will I will say. I know that doesn't make any sense to anyone that doesn't play tennis or doesn't know what I'm talking about. But if you look up the Babolat Pure Aero 2019 racket, you will understand what I mean. Don't mind my spelling of color. I'm Canadian, guys. Bro, we don't care. I sp- I still spell theater. I spell theater the British way instead of the American way, just because I saw it first. It don't matter. Brandon, it's crazy you pay for education and healthcare in America. Hey, it happens, bro. That's just what we do. You're actually in bed this time. Nice. Fernando, industrial engineering. All right, that's pretty cool, dude. I did not go for an engineering degree. I went for a business. I went for a business degree, so it was it was good enough for me. Deep. I went to uni for sports management. Worked at an ice rink for a while. Bartended till I turned 26. Then went to trade school for HVAC. All the while I played tennis whenever I could. That's a cool. That's You probably got a lot of cool stories then, Deep, about your time working everywhere there. Carolyn, hello. Brand Brandon. I can't imagine going to a hospital and getting charged a bill. Yeah, it happens, bruh. That's why we got insurance. Amani, my dog passed away. No. I'm sorry, Amani. That sucks. I we had a dog pass away in my family earlier this year. It was it was hard because she had been with us for almost 8 years or more, maybe 9. And it's hard losing a dog or just any animal. It sucks. So I hope I hope everything goes well, and I hope you do get to feel better here soon. Carolyn, just sending apples. All right. Fernando, in Chile, you pay for that too. Nice. And do you wear tennis clothes? I like the aesthetic of tennis only. I mean, I wear some of my like tennis clothes. I'd say that I'm starting to try and like move away from wearing nothing but tennis clothes if I'm going somewhere that isn't tennis related, just because that's because I work at a tennis store. I'm around it all the time, and that's a majority of the clothes that I have is just tennis related shirts, especially tops. But if I'm out and about, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably in something tennis related, just because I probably came from work or anything like that. But if I'm going to like play tennis, or if I'm going to work out, or if I'm going to do anything like that, I'm most likely wearing my tennis gear just because it's comfortable. It works and breathes really well, and I just enjoy it. Deep dang, that 2019 Pure is a quirky racket. Yeah, it is. It's a bumblebee. Let's see. The ice rink was pretty boring. Baked skates to people's feet, sharpened skates, which is pretty much an automated thing. But yeah, bartending was cool. It deterred me from drinking, to be honest. Hey, that's okay, man. I have I'm one of those rare few people that have never actually decided to drink alcohol. I've never had it, so I'm like, if you don't want to drink, you don't want to drink. It's on you. I respect it. Fernando, yeah, losing a dog is sad. They're amazing souls. Yeah. Dogs are amazing. I'm a much bigger dog guy than I am a cat guy. I will never want to have a cat over a dog. That's me though. Kanako! Hello, sir. How are you? I'm doing good. I have a grand old time. I'm having a grand old time hanging out with everyone. Thank you for being here. It's nice to see your little message pop up. See, Adidas is a great sale on their tennis clothes right now. Quality is great. Acer clothes are pretty versatile. Wish the Wilson clothes would go on sale sometime. Dude, ever since Wilson got a designer from Lululemon to make all their new clothes, I don't think those things are going on sale anytime soon, dude. It's they're nice. They really are. But Wilson knows they're nice now. So keep they're gonna try and like keep it up if they can. Kanako, I have a question. What do you think about using lead tape? Does it really make big difference? Depends on how much you add, Kanako, and it depends on where you add it. So, what are you trying to what are you trying to accomplish by putting lead tape on the racket? Because I'm assuming it's for your kids. Wilson is bougie now, lol. Jeez. Yeah, I remember back. closer to when I first started working at my work, I could get like a Wilson jacket for like very dirt cheap, and it was just like Wilson was always one of the inexpensive brands, and now they be expensive, bruh. It's insane. Uh, I'm probably gonna butcher this, and if I do, I'm sorry. But Shau Shaura Shau Shaura. Hello. I'm sorry if I said it wrong. I probably did. Alicia, are you from Texas? No, I am not from Texas. I, funnily enough, have a cousin who is 4 days younger than me. He lives in Texas, though, but I am not from Texas. Right? Wilson was like mid level under Nike, Adidas, etc. Now it's very expensive, and here Asics too. Let's see. Kanaka, yes, for the kids. I'm thinking that of putting lead tape two sides of the racket. Uh, why are you wanting to put lead tape on the racket, Kanako? That was what are you trying to accomplish by putting lead tape onto there? That's going to determine whether or not you should even try to put lead tape on it. Is squash the lonely single version of tennis? What's the difference? Honestly, I have no clue what the difference is. I've never played squash, so I couldn't tell you anything about it. That's not my domain of expertise. Uh, Shay Shayura, what is my content type? Uh, if I had to give it a type, I would say it is majorly tennis related. That is what the theme of the stream is. We got tennis gear questions we're answering live. I will do live streams like this. I'm thinking of doing more and more live streams as the year ends, just because it's fun. I enjoy it. We can interact one on like one to group, and we can all just have fun hanging out together. So I do live streams. Majorly though, I just make YouTube videos, and then there's also some shorts that are in there too. Majorly just big videos, and then I'm starting to get more and more into live streaming just because it's fun, and I have a fun time doing it. Let's see, Fernando, do I like pickleball? I tried it and liked it more than padel at least. Fernando, I enjoy playing pickleball, and I think pickleball is very good at some things that tennis isn't. Like the social aspect of pickleball is much better than tennis, just because there's so many more people that it's much easier, at least where I am, to go out and ask someone, "Hey, do you want to go play pickleball?" And they'll be willing to say yes, than it is to go ask someone, "Hey, do you want to go play tennis?" And they'll be like, "No." But I think that pickleball is great. I don't like when pickleball starts encroaching on tennis courts, and then if a tennis player comes to play tennis, but there's pickleballers on it, I I feel as if the pickleball players need to move and leave because someone's trying to use the tennis court for its original purpose. But actually playing it is fun. I still just prefer tennis myself. But I do have a friend that is a professional pickleball player, and he travels to tournaments and everything. So every so often I get to hit with him, and it's always fun just to see like how different he is, because he used to play Division II college tennis, and then now he plays professionally on the pickleball circuit. So I was like, that's cool. And if I get the chance to play with him, I of course want to take it just to like see the difference and see the level of pickleball because I'm curious. Let's see. Uh, for now, I bet if you dig deep enough, you'll find good sales on A6. Lululemon is not cute, very basic. See, I've never had anything from Lululemon. I've never been a Lulu guy. I've just never had anything from there. I got nothing against them. I just did have never bought anything. Deep, I do wear my blue Lulu golf shorts for tennis sometimes. Deep, pickleball is fun. It's very technical, which is good if you want to cross train for tennis. As long as you can separate the ball bounce between the two sports, you can learn from both and apply it into the other. But I will say the very first time I went to go play pickleball, I came because being a tennis player, I was ready. I wound up to hit my forehand with the paddle. The ball bounced and then it didn't come up nearly as high as I thought it would. And I was like, I just looked down because it double bounced on me. I was like, oh, it didn't bounce. And then my friend laughed at me because he's like, it's not supposed to. And I was like, oh, okay. I understand it now. Joji, wow, you're rocking the orange glasses. Where do you get that? I got these off of Amazon, and these were recommended to me by a friend to help protect against blue light, especially if I'm on my phone or if I'm on my computer, so that way I can sleep better. And it's done wonders for me. I very much enjoy them. Great, they were a great investment for me. Kanako, I heard that lead tape makes rackets more stable. It can, Kanako. It just depends on where you put it in the racket. If you're wanting to make the racket more stable, it depends. It depends on what you're trying to make stable, but typically for stability. So Kanako, if you watch the screen, if we use my racket that's right here in front of my face, and we say that the racket itself, this is say like 12 o'clock, this is 6 o'clock, uh, and we go. This is 3. This is 9. Normal clock face. So if you go at 12 and you put lead tape here, that's not necessarily going to make the racket more stable. It's going to make the racket swing through the air faster, so they'll have more racket head speed, but it's not going to necessarily help with stability. If you put it on the sides here at 3 and 9, this is where it's going to get more stable because this is usually the most unstable part because it's furthest away from the racket in terms of like furthest out. If you put it down here at 6, you probably shouldn't. No one really does anything down here. It's not really effective. So if you're wanting to make the racket more stable, I would probably start with one strip of lead tape on this side and one strip of lead tape on this side. So that way you kind of balance out the weight. You don't want one side much heavier than the other. That's just going to make the racket even more unstable. But if you're going to try it, I would start with small increments, especially because it's for your kids, and just kind of go from there based off what they feel after they play with it. If they feel like it's too heavy, immediately take it off and just don't even worry about it. But you can also adjust things every you can also adjust things here and there to also help with it. So it just depends on what you want to accomplish, Kanako. Fernando, true pickleball is for fun, tennis for life. I like it. Let's see. Choji, my Zoe? No. ASJ, what's up, dog? What's up? Let's see. Choji, my hair is gorgeous. What type of shampoo do you use? I can't get my hair right. My hair always have fleas and keep watch it right. But the shampoo, but the hold on. What is happening in this? Uh, bro, I got no idea how to help you with the fleas thing. But the shampoo I use, I think it's hold on. Hold on. Excuse me. I will say this everything with this was just water. Like I got out of the shower and then I didn't use shampoo this time. Is it this? No, it's not. All right. I don't remember off the top of my head what it is, Joji. So I can't say exactly, but yeah, I don't remember. Sorry, bud. Uh Again, I'm probably gonna mispronounce it. Michi-san? Michi-san? Or Mickey-san? I'm sorry, I don't know. Greetings from Germany. Well, hello to Germany. What you playing? I'm not playing anything, bro. I'm not playing video games. I'm just here to answer questions, talk, have a good time, and hang out. Mainly about tennis. Maybe one day we'll stream video games. Not sure, but not today. Do I play COD or Fortnite? I do play Fortnite every so often. I have not played recently since they updated it to bring the Simpsons in, but I do play it every so often. Will, what's up? Where am I located at? The cl- Will, the closest city that most people would know is going to be Cincinnati. That's in the U.S. So that is where I would say I am located, just because that's the thing that most people would recognize. If if the pickleball if the pickleball ball bounced higher, it would be terrible to play. I have no clue, dude. Sometimes I don't get how old people keep gravitating towards pickleball when you basically spend the whole time slouched over to play. Like, don't you guys have bad? Dang, you're just going for them deep. That's crazy. Davi, hello, deep or with your knees bent, whatever. Mogali, I'm from India. You are like a Spider-Man. All right. I I guess I look like Spider-Man. Davi, hello. I agree he looks like Andrew. Davi's from Brazil. I like it. M younger Spider-Man. Yeah, he actually looks like Spider. Okay. I guess I, I guess I just look like Spider-Man then. I mean, I personally I would not want to be Spider-Man. Like the story of Spider-Man from what I've heard about it, not necessarily a great thing to go through. Personally, I wouldn't want to go through it. But some of the powers are cool. But I guess I look like, which one did you say I was? Andrew. Okay. I mean, maybe. We'll see. Kanako, great. Thank you for the advice. Of course, Kanako. Happy to help. I probably need orange glasses then, but I hate orange. Well, there's different blue light blockers, but these ones were just like the ones my guy recommended, and he's way more into fitness and health and just like everything than I am. So I very much trust his judgment when it comes to that kind of stuff. So even though you don't like the color, I would still say it's probably worth it just because it's going to help you in the long run. And then you can just kind of like get over the color. You don't even have to wear it in public. Like, I don't wear these out in public, I just wear them at home. If I'm out and about doing my normal kind of day, then I'm not wearing these. These also don't have my prescription in them because these are just the glasses. Are you expecting GTA 6? Nah, Fernando, I'm not. I've not played any of the GTAs. I wasn't allowed to play them growing up and I just never had any inclination to play it, so not for me. Robbie, what's my most prized personal possession? Um, One of them is a small compass that I got from a very good friend of mine that I met out in Arizona. I just got it this year, but it is when he gave it to me, he uh he gave it to me and told me something very special. So I have that with me in my room, and every time I see it, it reminds me of him. So it's always something that I appreciate and that I know because it's a compass. It's always a guiding light. It's like, yeah, if I ever need help, I can always reach out to him. And so that's probably one of my most prized possessions. And Robbie trying to rob. Oh no! And I just told him what it was. Oh no! Richard, did you know giraffes are 30% more likely to get struck by lightning than humans? I mean, it makes sense. They're so much taller than us, especially with that neck. Fernando, fun stream, man. Thanks for all. It's late here. Cheers. Fernando, thank you for being here so much. I greatly appreciate it and all the comments. It's late. It's late where you are. It's late where I am too. It's approaching midnight here on the East Coast. So I will I probably will have to end here soon, but we'll at least get through chat, and then we'll see from there. Try a bank run. Placebo. What? I thought you were Southern. Nah. R1. I don't know who Scott Summers is, and I have no idea what you're talking about me lying. They will be carnage. That I don't know what that means. Oh no, you've never watched Spider-Man. You don't watch Marvel. No, I've never seen Spider-Man. I've never seen any of the Spider-Mans. I've never seen I've seen some of Marvel. I've not seen all of it because that's a lot. I liked Guardians of the Galaxy. I really like the soundtrack of Guardians of the Galaxy just because I like older music and it's fun. It's fun. But yeah, I have not watched a lot of Marvel or anything like that. Carol? Carol, maybe? Hello? Cyclops. That'd be pretty weird if I only had one eye, just like right in the middle of my head. Orange makes me fit. Orange makes me physically ill. My mom had me remove orange stuff in my room as a kid because I would get nauseous looking at it. I never heard of a color making someone sick. That's interesting. Huh. Weird. Let's see. Deep. If I had to consolidate or just clean up Head's lineup, how would you go about it? I get Head is a great company, but it seems like so many of their rackets converge and do the same thing. So I've actually talked about this before on one of these live streams, and also somewhat when I did a video on another YouTube channel that he had me on as a guest for his channel because we both did videos with each other. But if I had to clean up Head's lineup because they have so many rackets, my first initial thoughts were to get rid of the Prestige and to get rid of the Instinct because Head wants to keep the Boom as the power racket. And I'm like, okay, fine. If we're doing that, we're doing that. I probably would have just like got rid of the Boom and just kept the Instinct line because that's what I think. The Instinct was a more comparable power racket to the Pure Drive, and I think that's gave it a little bit more of an advantage, especially with it being a little bit cheaper. And then they can just add the Instinct Pro model and just make the Boom Pro. They can turn the Boom Pro into the Instinct Pro. That would be one thing I would think to do. Then at that point, it's just kind of like seeing which does better in terms of the radical or the gravity. I think Head would probably want to keep the radical just because that's the one that's been around longer and that seems to be like the more popular of the two. But I would probably leave it at four racket lines being the speed, well, being the extreme, the instinct for power, and then either the gravity or the radical for the control racket. Just depends on the personal preference of the player, but I personally wouldn't care which one it is. I'd say the gravity probably has more variation to it in terms of what it can do, so maybe keep that one more over the radical, but maybe change the beam width to be a little bit more like it. And then keep the speed just as like the outlier because the speed is kind of like the most down the middle racket and it can kind of do almost a little bit of everything just so that way there's something else there. But I would probably try and get the racket lines down to about like three or four just so that way it's more clean cut and dry of like you have a control racket, a power racket, and a spin racket, and then kind of go from there. And then the speed's just there as well. That's probably what I would do deep. R R1. I should look up Scott Summers when this finishes. I might. We'll see. Deep, nice. I'm a sucker for the extreme. White rackets are so nice. I wouldn't really say that the extreme is white. That thing is like green. Green or like highlighter yellow. The Wilson Shift is white. The Slinko Whiteout is white. The T-Fights are white. I wouldn't classify the Extreme as white. Skylar, drinking my... I don't know what that's from, but no. I'm drinking water, and I just ran out, which is sad. His water is very, very good. Right? Dunlop does it best with their lineup. Glad the Dunlops are affordable, too. And used on the ATP. Dunlop's underrated, bro. Like I've been saying that for years, especially at my store. Dunlop makes good rackets. It's just people don't know about them anymore. Giovanna, what's my favorite album of all time? Music questions. Always hard because I like music. Um, I don't know if I have a favorite album just because I don't really listen to albums. I just listen to the songs themselves, and I really don't care what album they're from. I just know that they're from a specific artist. So I don't think I can say a favorite album, Giovanna, but maybe I can maybe there's some other like I could say favorite a few favorite musicians if that would help instead of a favorite album. Deep. Oh, I must be colorblind. True. The T fights are nice. Dan on tennis spins channels said using 10 fibers is the equivalent of snapping glass tubes. I guess he means it ice crisp. Snapping glass tubes. That's a that's an interesting comment to make about tennis rackets. I've never heard of that before. Interesting. Deep loves music, loves too much music, and I never just give one album. That's understandable. There's so much good music out there, and music's just yeah. There's so much good music. Gracie, you're adorable. Thank you, Gracie. I appreciate it. Yeah, who or what is Layla? All right then. Favorite musician or single if you want. Okay. So right now, I would say my favorite. They're not well. It's a group, but there's only one surviving member. He's the last one still standing. My favorite band that I have found so far is weirdly enough the Bee Gees. Not because of Staying Alive, which is the one song that most people go to first, but I grew up listening to the Bee Gees. That was like the songs that I would hear the most, and I always just loved how they all sounded. I thought they were amazing, and they've stuck with me. And so I absolutely just love every I absolutely just love everything about them. I'm very sad that only Barry is left, and yeah, the Bee Gees are great. Uh, Brian, I have something that would cheer you up. I don't know if anyone needs cheered up, bro. I think we're all pretty good. Deep, the Bee Gees are my mom's favorite band. Hey, she's got good music taste, Deep. What can I say? Bro, you look like BB No Money. Who's that? I want I want to go to a tennis match just to experience it, but it's just squeak, grunts, more squeaking, turn your head right and left because the big tennis matches here are indoors. Yeah, might as well just do it, At some point, you want to play, you like tennis, or else you wouldn't be here. Might as well just go do it just to do it. Yeah, BB no money, no dollar sign is crazy. I do see it. All right. Cra- Giovanna crazy because I have a vinyl record of one of their albums. Hey, bro, Bee Gees, they're just great. Most of the people my age, they have no clue and no idea who I'm talking about when I say their name. But as soon as I mention Staying Alive, they're like, "Oh, I know that song." And then they know nothing else. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why I don't talk about them that often." Emmanuel, wouldn't peg you as a Bee Gees guy. You've got good taste in music. Kudos. What kind of music were you? What kind of music were you pegging me for then, Emmanuel? What were you thinking? Giovanni, I like a lot of '60s or '70s albums. It's kind of my main music taste. I can appreciate that, Giovanna. I'm a big fan of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. They were great. I liked the Beatles. I liked the Beach Boys. '60s, '70s. Who else was big then? Um, who else? Now that I'm trying to think of it, I can't think of it. Great. Hendrix. See, I never listened to much of Hendrix. Bro, Yacht Rock is awesome. Christopher Cross, Little River Band, and Reminiscing, great song. The Doobie Brothers. There's Michael McDonald, yacht one of the Yacht Rock main guys. There's so much good music. America with Ventura Highway, Horse with No Name, and all that. Um, Sister Golden Haired Surprise, great song. Yeah, so much good music. Yeah, I never got much into Hendrix. I wasn't. I never got big into Led Zeppelin either. I know of them. I've heard their songs. Probably couldn't tell you who. I probably could not tell you when they're playing because I haven't heard them enough. But yeah, I've heard them. I know that. I just probably couldn't pick them out. Yacht Rock could cheer up the Grinch, lol. Yeah, Sailing from Christopher Cross just starts playing. That guitar intro just hits. The Grinch's heart just starts growing, and then that smile perks up like he just found the spirit of Christmas, and it's like, ah, this is what I was missing. As he rides away on the sled down the mountain with his dog. Giovanna, my favorite album of the '60s has to be the debut album for the Doors. Jim Morrison was insane. Okay, interesting. Emmanuel, Little River Band. Those guys were awesome. Yeah, reminiscing is their big song that I have from them. I've heard a few others, but they were pretty good. Deep, I love it. Lil, I live right next to a river called Little River. That's crazy. Chicken. Each time I play Clash Royale, when I have a log bait deck, my opponent always has at least some mid ladder deck, especially with Meta Knight, Mega Knight. Dude, Clash Royale is just one of those things. Like when I play, when I played Clash Royale, I was one of those weird people that I made a mortar deck because no one ever expected a mortar deck, and I just like was mess around with it and just have fun. I was like, huh, might as well see what happens just to see. And it actually worked out quite well because again, no one expected it. But I this was like years ago, so I have not played Clash Royale since. I think that was back when I was in like high school. And my little sister likes him and she's from '05. Hey, good music taste. All I'm saying. Guy high. Giovanni. It's surprising you don't actually really like much '80s albums or songs. I don't hate them. I just don't really listen to them. That makes sense. That you don't have to. You don't have to. Some decades it's just like there's like certain songs you pick out. You're like, okay, yeah, that's great, and that's good. Some decades you're just like, this is amazing. Some decades you're just like, it's not for me. But doesn't matter. Whatever you like, you like. Brandon, Brandon, Whoville. They need to make noise to survive. The Grinch steals the noisemakers. No, that doesn't make sense. John, I have no idea what question. I have no idea what question you're talking about. Crystal, do you know who Nicholas? No, I have never heard of that Nicholas person. And I listen to anything except for heavy metal or metal. That's fair. I'm not a really big like heavy metal guy myself, but there's some metal songs like like them. I don't know if you consider them heavy metal or anything, but they're fun. I'm not personally a big fan of screamo or anything. That's not me. I would like to not have my voice die if I try and see that. Well, try and sing that, but yeah. That one's not for me.